very excited. Very excited. I get my woodshed delivered tomorrow. It's going to cause me hours upon hours of physical labor and work. But darn it, I get a parking space back in my carport. Pretty
that's
happy.
Good. No, you need that. And you've been packing in some cookies for energy. I've seen that. So you should
I
be
have not
well
eaten
prepared.
a single Oreo tonight. Not eating a single Oreo.
What kind of cookie are you eating tonight?
Oreos.
All right. There, yeah.
Our radio audience didn't see that.
I'm so sorry to dump on you, but I have to bust your chops as much as possible, my friend, because I know you're a dieting fiend. And so I like to call you out on this.
I deserve it.
I love you, buddy.
Oh, well. I appreciate you, too, as we continue on with the UFO Report with the tattletale Tim Seanor here tonight on the show. And Tim, it's been kind of a wild 24 hours, and it was all stirred up by one of ufology's giant skeptics out there, a former guest on this show named Mick West. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Mick West means a lot of harm to the UFO community. He just is looking for other plausible answers. And a lot of times it rubs people in this community the wrong way because some of his plausibilities just make no sense at all. And he made a comment recently about a topic we had on this show about the 1994 Ariel UFO alien incident in Zimbabwe, where a bunch of young children were out on recess or lunch. A UFO came out of the sky, landed, and aliens actually came out of this craft and communicated with some people. Well, Nick, or I should say Mick, has a slightly different theory about what happened there. And I'm sorry, it's one thing to be skeptical, but it's another thing to be and I'm going to say this politely, delusional, if that's possible.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Mick was pointing out an already existing theory. And so he was pointing people towards a theory that was written about in gideonread.co.uk. And in that article, Mick was pointing out that this is another option. And so I'm just going to play devil's advocate and stay absolutely neutral here and just report what was reported through Twitter. And so Mick West says, and I quote, "Did the children at the Ariel school see puppets instead of aliens? It's a theory that sounds silly, but are traveling puppeteers actually more or less plausible than telepathic aliens?" So he offers the connection here to gideonread.co.uk. And in the article, it goes through a couple potential options here in the theory that this spaceship could have been part of a set, and the quote unquote aliens, as they were described by the school children, were in fact puppets. And so, although this is just a hypothesis that's offered up through this article, we have to consider that maybe it's a little bit far-fetched. But let's go ahead and look at some of the things that they talk about very briefly here. They describe the aliens here, and the features include gray or unusual skin color, large head, big eyes, scrawny neck, long black hair, shiny black clothing, no facial expression, stiff necks, running in slow motion, wordless communication, running up and down on top of a spaceship, quote unquote, and a big one and quite a few little ones, talking about the description of the figures, and then the figures themselves hovering and not actually touching the ground or the spacecraft themselves. And so these are descriptions that could also fit puppets. And so Mick was pointing this out as another option, and I've heard Mick speak a few times. He is a skeptic, but I think that he does He doesn't conclude that there is not a possibility of aliens coming and visiting our planet, but he's just looking for evidence and proof, which he hasn't seen yet. And so it does kind of rub people a little bit roughly when, these adults have come out to talk about their experiences through Randall Nickerson's recent film, Aerial Phenomenon. And this is a little bit of a timing thing too, with the release of that film only just coming out about a month and a half ago or so. Mick pointing this article out now does seem kind of timed a little bit roughly, Dave. And this is a little bit of a far-fetched potential theory, but, again, you have to consider everything. How do you feel about it?
Well, you know what? I feel that Mick sometimes goes out of his way to stir up the skeptical controversy. I don't think he is the pit bull that everybody accuses him of. I think he brings a lot of common sense. I think he brings a lot of questions, which are healthy. They are healthy. But at certain points in time, you have to be able to at least take the evidence for what it is. Okay. And Mick sometimes trolls on that a little bit. And he goes a little too far in defending his side of the ledger. And trust me, I like skepticism. We all need to be skepticism or a little bit more skeptical about what we're going through and what we are experiencing and what's the truth. But on the flip side, when he tries to ruin credibility of eyewitnesses or eyewitness testimony or evidence that is out there, example, seagulls as tic tacs, when he tries to act like he knows more than a pilot who is captaining and flying a $60 million naval aircraft in an FA-18 Hornet.
Yeah.
That's where I think he loses a lot of his credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Questions do need to be asked. However, what he takes a stance on sometimes, I I just don't understand.
Yeah. And in this one in particular, he gave the option, which is more likely. And I don't like this when skeptics use this term, which is more likely, because they say, which is more likely, a roaming puppeteer group or an alien landing or an alien spaceship
Well,
crash?
the thing about Mick though is, and Jonathan Davies brings up a good point in our chat room. He never admits when he has it wrong. He leaves you jumping to conclusions. And look, if this was 1, 2, or 3 children that had seen this aerial school phenomena, I could say, well, maybe there is something to it. Okay. But when you got 20, 30, 40 kids, or whatever the number was, who were scared, traumatized, not understanding what's going on, getting mental downloads, I think you have to look on the side of the evidence rather than the plausible conclusion. And this is where Mick gets into hot trouble in my opinion. Okay? And you know what? He's so much, it's almost like at times he's so much wanting to break this community that he doesn't want to understand what people are doing and what people are saying. And I'm sorry, I'm going to believe 30, 40 kids who say that they watched an aircraft come out of the sky, land, these strange beings get out, some of them having telepathic communication, and all of them telling the same story over somebody sitting or reading a report out of Europe from people who were not there, claiming that, oh, it was puppeteers that were driving by. That doesn't make sense. I'm also going to believe a fighter pilot over Mick West, because I'm pretty sure a fighter pilot is more highly trained to be able to discuss and eyewitness the difference between a seagull and a UFO. And I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I mean, I once had a person tell me that they knew the law better than my lawyer. And my lawyer had been practicing for 40 years in law. Okay, now a lot of people will say, well, David is a lawyer, so you really don't know. But that's the reality of it. It's like when somebody tries to tell me, who's never worked at a newsroom, how a newsroom works. It doesn't work. Like you're not there. You've never been in that position. And we have to also start believing and taking what is considered anecdotal evidence. We have to start believing this a little bit more. The UFO community is one of the only communities out there where literally you can provide as much evidence as possible and everybody's still going to shoot you down. Yet
Right.
You go into a court of law, how many people are in jail today around this world because of somebody's eyewitness testimony?
Right. Well, I like to do the exact opposite of what Mick does and more or less discover the facts that are being disputed. And so rather than focus on Mick, let's talk about what he's pointing out here. He feels that this is a valid explanation. Okay. And this is one of the best mass sightings that we have with data, right? Because Dr. John Mack went there, and as a trained Harvard psychiatrist, he went and interviewed these children within a month of this happening with other specialists going along with him. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And so, really, I challenge Mick more along the lines of let's see what you have as far as supportive evidence of this puppeteer theory, because we have tons of evidence on this. Rather than kind of brush this off on another article, Mick, I would like to see you come out with a real argument of your own. Perhaps that shows a little bit more data supporting your argument opposed to John Mack's books of information.
But
And this is just one person. Please go ahead.
let's also remember, Mick West made his money off of video games. He's self-taught. He doesn't have a degree in physics, doesn't have a degree in biology. He's never been I don't believe he's ever been a pilot. I'm sorry. I'm going to believe those who are experts over somebody who is trying to be sensitively. No, that's not even a word. I'll just say, an overburdening skeptic.
There you go.
All
There
right.
you go. And obviously, Mick has never seen anything firsthand. So, he is, partial, let's just say, that he needs something to be proven to him, which is really tough because it's really tricky to get evidence. And so even the best evidence out there may not convince him if he's a true skeptic.
Here's the thing, though, okay? And Tim, I think you bring up some great points, okay? But why do we need Mick West in this field? Why do we need him? Why does his opinion mean anything at all? Look,
well, it doesn't.
Well,
it really truly doesn't, because he's not a real skeptic, okay? Because a real skeptic would bring some facts to support their argument. And he has done some deep dives on some of the military video releases on his defense. But to just cast us in Twitter to go read somebody else's work that he just supports blindly, that's the sort of thing that kind of undermines what his other potential role as a true skeptic could be. But at this point, he's really kind of borderline debunker.
Well, and that's exactly it. A skeptic is supposed to be at least looking for possible answers, impartial. We're not getting that. We're going to continue with the UFO Report and Tim Seanor when we return for the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned.
puppets.
Just because you pissed me off.
Oh, a cookie. Oh, well done. Atta boy. There you go, radio fans. No, that's good, man. You're gonna need that to build this thing in your backyard to hold all your wood.
Mm-hmm.
You got a big thing in your backyard for your wood. Atta boy.
Dude, I'm serious. It is going to be a long time. I've got, from what I know, at least 2 wasps' nests in my wood pile. So I'm going to have to battle them. And trust me, it is challenge accepted. Total challenge accepted. Because
please film it.
Oh, dude, I love killing wasps.
Please
I do.
film this. I need this for the archive. Whenever you do. Maybe we could do like time lapse, because if we sped it up, that would be even better.
It's going to be ugly. It is going to be literally, okay, this is how it's going to go down.
Like a Benny Hill show.
No, because I've got the secret weapon. And the secret weapon is this: soap and water. And I've got a squirt gun. So I am going in hard tomorrow. All right. That when I lift those pieces of wood, I am literally going full metal jacket, and I am running right in. Once I move those couple pieces of wood, because I know where those pricks are. Okay. I am going full metal jacket, and I'm going right in. I may even do a Rambo scream. All right. And I am shooting as I go. I'm going in shooting. I'm going in hot. All right. I don't need no goggles or body armor or anything to tie me down. I'm going in hot. And when I go in hot,
just taken advantage of by them. They're gonna just
not even close.
You.
Not even close.
Please film it. Just film it. Send me the stuff so I can speed it up and we can make a Benny Hill clip out of this. It's gonna be great.
I am telling you right now, I will put money on the table. And I'll be honest with this. Whoever takes me up on this, all right, here's the deal. Tim, if I get stung once tomorrow, okay, I will buy you dinner the next time we hang out. All right? If I win, you have to go on to spacedoutradio.com and you have to buy yourself a pair of Dave boxer shorts with my face right on the front.
Okay. Challenge accepted. This is a done deal.
And then you got to wear them. All right?
Okay.
You have to wear them on the air. All right? You got to wear them on the air.
Okay.
All right.
That I can do, my friend. Challenge accepted.
I will not be stung once. And I will be completely honest with you.
I believe you. But here's the thing. You still have to film it because it's got to be good. It's going to be good either way. Even if you win, it's going to be good.
Okay. All right. So here we go. I'll try and where's my little tripod? I got my little tripod somewhere here.
Perfect.
I will set up the tripod. All right. Maybe we'll even go live with this.
Oh my God, please get stung.
Okay. We might even go live with this.
Oh, this is gonna be great.
Look at Pam. Look at Pam. A little help for any medical assistance after Waspgate. Oh, Pam.
I love
it. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm telling you right now, Pam. Thank you for that lovely super chat. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to win. 0. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be in shorts and I'm going to be in a t-shirt. Okay. I got to get the shed set up first. Beautiful. It's raining right now here outside, which is going to pack my new driveway because I got crushed gravel on my driveway.
Could you make it a really white tank top, like a tight-fitting tank top and shorts?
Dude, everything's tight on me right
now. No,
I got to wear running shoes. I have to wear.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Dude, I'll set it up. I'm gonna be great, you guys. I just have to move some safety hazards out of the way. All right.
Here
I have
comes
to
the
move my,
torn.
I have to, so one of the wrenches did that.
Little Davy
Joe
Altman.
loves that stuff. Okay. I have to move my lawnmower. I have to move my wood splitter. I got to move my snowblower. Once I get all of that out there, it is on. Me and the Wasps, and we may actually go live with this tomorrow.
I'm excited.
All right, here we go with the final half hour.
Dance with the devil.
We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Tim Seanor is here with the UFO Report. We're going to head to the Air Force, where a former intelligence expert has revealed what the United States military may already know about the increase of UFO sightings. This sounds interesting, Tim.
It is. It's absolutely interesting. So the Director of Naval Intelligence, Scott Bray, and the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Secretary Ronald Moultrie spoke with a congressional subcommittee about the highly debated subject. Bray revealed in the discussion that there have been over 400 sightings of unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UFOs, and one UFO video showed a quick-moving spherical object, while another one showed what looked like a perfect triangle shape glowing green in the sky. The Air Force itself had 11 near misses, and with the UFOs spotting them, some of these were actually interacted with. Reedy had the being in the Air Force himself believes that this does not make sense. I apologize. During the late 1940s and the early 1950s, the U.S. began to improve their jet aircraft to keep up with Nazi Germany. And Reedy suggests that what appeared to look like UFOs were actually just a new and foreign models of these fighter jets. He wrote, "These were sleek, silvery planes with small, swept wings flying at incredible speeds. And to even the finest flying ace of the time, the performance of the P-80 Shooting Star or the F-86 Sabre would look otherworldly to an unfamiliar Mustang or Corsair pilot." So we are starting to see some of these reports coming out, and it looks like in this new congressional subcommittee, they're starting to discuss this, Dave. So it's about time. Discussion is starting. What are your thoughts?
We see a lot of discussion starting right now. You know, it just seems like everybody wants to get into the game somehow. You know what? I really do believe right now that we're at a point, Tim, where maybe a lot of us need to take a step back, because there's so much information running rampant and running forward between Bray and Moultrie. You know, you have Elizondo running around again. Chris Mellon has been silent for a long time. Gary Nolan's really stepped up his pace. Bill Nelson with NASA, who refuses to check his own closet. I mean, we have a lot of people speaking on this topic from various different angles. And, you know, it's nice to see that it's acknowledged that sightings are actually higher than what they first reported, but those numbers still aren't truthful. If they wanted the true numbers, go to Newfork, go to MUFON. Their files are free. They're right there. You can grab them, plus whatever files you have. I mean, what are we supposed to do here? Are we supposed to be impressed by this? I mean, what do you think, Tim? Should we be impressed by this? Should we not? Should we just roll our eyes like we would do with NASA? I really don't know anymore. I'm so confused.
You bring up a great point there with NASA, and NASA in particular is an increasingly frustrating subject. And I brought it up before, but I'd like to bring it up again. I find it incredibly frustrating that NASA asks for information from its own astronauts that we're desperately trying to report to them. So, for years and years, almost 75 years, our military, Air Force personnel, and all of our astronauts have been silenced and sworn to secrecy on these topics. And now NASA just comes out publicly and casually asks for its astronauts and military personnel to come forward and speak on behalf of them and talk about subjects that they have been silenced on for decades. And unfortunately, a lot of the astronauts that have these incredible stories struggled their entire adult career having to closet a lot of this information, were not able to pass that information on before they left. And so this is incredibly frustrating, you know? Spending $100,000 on a report that they can find themselves and report on so easily. You and I know we've had conversations with NASA personnel that have shown us photographs that could easily answer their own question. And yet here we are struggling for the information publicly. It's incredibly frustrating. And so moving forward, we know that Congress is looking for this information. We know that there are things that move out there without any visible propulsion. We need to demonstrate this information to Congress with proof and evidence. And yet we have people struggling against us like Mick West. And aren't we all moving towards the same goal? We have seen an increase in disclosure, quote unquote, and towards the goal of public acceptance of this. But at the same rate, we do see the buildup. But what is this holdup, Dave? What is holding us up?
I don't know. And I think there's so many storylines right now that are really on the table. I don't even think that they know what they're talking about anymore, because we got to remember UFOs is becoming a big agenda. And what is that agenda? Agendas are people or are topics where people need to be able to try and find their own way, try and find their own belief, and they stick to it no matter what. I mean, you look at Tom DeLonge, for instance, if we take him. DeLonge is all about aliens are evil. We need to get nuclear weapons up in space and be able to launch them from our satellites because the aliens are no good. They're demonic. They're this, they're that. And we have to be able to protect this planet. Well, where'd you get that from? Well, he got it from Peter Levenda. Then you have people who are saying, look, aliens are good. Aliens are coming here. We need to make sure we're ready. We need to make sure we're taken care of. We need to make sure they're taken care of. We need to make sure that everything is A-okay. So that way we can get some peace, love, and light around here for the first time in centuries. All right? Because the one thing that we are very good at is killing people and war. We're very good at that, no matter what. You know, so the question is, what is the agenda? Bill Nelson has an agenda. Luis Elizondo has an agenda. All right? Tom DeLonge has an agenda. What are the agendas of the politicians? And not just in the United States. What about Canada? What about Larry Maguire, who we interviewed here? What about UK politicians or Brazilian politicians who just held their own public hearings? Okay, right. Where are we going with this? There's too many angles. And what we all need to do, if we had any brains to do it, and I know the smartest one of all who's listening in right now, and I'm not going to mention their name, but they know who I'm talking about. I believe we need to take a step back and refocus and read between the lines to see what the true game plan is here. Because there are very few people right now who are messing with humanity. And in the end, this is about humanity, Tim. It's about humanity. It's about you, your children. You know, me, my children. I'm about to be a grandfather. All right? There's a handful of people right now who are trying to control this fate of this story, which is going to affect 7.5 billion people on this planet. And you know what? The media doesn't care. The majority of the public doesn't care. All right? And It's shameful.
Yeah.
Therefore, my advice right now is for people to actually take a step back. There's too many agendas going on. And if we fall for the wrong agenda because we like the person or we dislike the person, or they got great hair or they don't have great hair, or a fantastic chin hair, or whatever it may be, because they speak to us, we're in the wrong. It's much like I pointed out on the After Hours show with Bill Nelson taking a picture with Robert Moultrie on Twitter on the weekend. And there were people from UFO Twitter on there cheering this on. Rock on! Let's do this! Yay, NASA! No. You can't support things blindly in this field when there are too many agendas. And that would be my thought on it.
That's right. And could it be more transparent than that? Right in our face, literally NASA shaking hands with the DoD. And we know that obviously NASA is an extension of the Air Force, and now we have the Space Force, which is an extension of that. And so we've talked about this lots on Disclosure Tonight with Thomas Fessler and lots of other groups. Disinformation by design. And that's what it's been for over 75 years. Disinformation by design. They are in no way going to allow anything to be pried loose at this point either. And so it's just more ways for there to compartmentalize things and disguise spending, military budgets as something else.
Yes.
And so absolutely, it's all about spending money and having the tools of destruction amplified. And so this is just one more step.
And you missed one key point on that, Tim.
Please.
It could be about making money as well.
Yeah.
It could be about making money. And this is where we have to take a step back. Look, I said to my audience back in 2017, when the To the Stars Academy was announced, I said, people, take your time on this. Take your time. Think about this. It's easy to get caught up in the hype, but you need to take your time. And I am asking our audience right now, take a step back. Okay? Learn. Read between the lines. Ask questions. If 2 + 2 is not equaling 4, ask the question because it needs to. And if you look at the bigger picture, like I'm saying, and a lot of people will say I'm preaching on this, but if you look at the bigger picture, that this isn't about you. This is about the 7.5 billion people on this planet. Your parents, my parents, our families, our children, our cousins, our best friends, our workmates, whoever. Those who are blind to the subject, we are in trouble. And there's only a handful right now who are controlling the entire agenda, including the media, for 7.5 billion people. That is scary. And we all need to take a step back, take a breath, and think about this. We really do. Tim, let's go to your final subject of the night. The UK's oldest UFO sighting revealed as the country's first ever X-file. This sounds great. Tell me about it.
Oh, it was so exciting to dig this up. So Cromwell Mortimer jotted down a sketch of the mystery object and published it in the Philosophical Transactions in 1746. And this was just coming forward recently. And so this was discovered about actually just last month. And so the UK's oldest UFO sighting has been revealed as the first ever X-file. It was first spotted 280 years ago when physician Cromwell Mortimer, the secretary of the Royal Society, spotted a ball of light in the sky as he left work. He was walking home to Westminster, central London, in December of 1742, and he recorded what he witnessed in a scientific UFO report. The physician jotted down a sketch of the mystery object and published it in the Philosophical Transactions, volume 58, in 1746, which has just come to light for the first time. Mr. Mortimer wrote, and I quote, As I was returning home from the Royal Society to Westminster on Thursday, December 16th at 2040, beginning about the middle of the parade in St. James Park. As he walked down, I saw a light, and I quote, I saw a light arise from behind the trees and the houses in the south by the West Point, which I took at first to be a large skyrocket. But when it had risen to the height of about 20 degrees, it took a motion nearly parallel to the horizon, but waved in this manner and went on north by northeast and point over the houses. As Mr. Mortimer watched the object, he believed its path had brought it directly over the Bloomsbury district of London, passing over the Queen's Square and making its way in the direction of the canal adjacent to it. Mr. Mortimer said that he lost sight of it over the Haymarket. Describing the way it moved, he wrote, and I quote, its motion was so very slow that it had about a half a minute in view and had time enough to contemplate its appearance fully. He drew a diagram showing the weird object. Based in this, he explained the mechanics of the object as follows. It seemed to be a light or a flame turning backwards from the resistance of the air that made against it. A bright fire-like burning charcoal, enclosed, as it were open, as if in case of which the frame was quite opaque, like braids and bands of iron.
Wow.
Issued forth a train of light or a tail of flame, more bright and glowing, gradually fainter, so as to be transparent. So it just faded off into the distance. Pretty cool.
Sounds like what a lot of people see, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. A glowing ball of fire in the sky that just trails off into the distance. You know, that is still a very popular report. And sometimes I think these could even be considered orbs, right? That just kind of float and seem to come down out of space and then just float horizontally along treetops. I myself have filmed that. So it's definitely a popular report from old times and even recent. Have you ever seen an orb, Dave?
Many. The one that there's two that I remember the most. Number one, we were in a meditation session with a number of friends of ours, and I popped out of the meditation, and I watched this golf ball size, like orange golf ball size orb float right past the doorway, got halfway through the door to the, at the doorway, stopped, and came out from the door, and it got within inches, like maybe 3-4 inches from my friend's elbow. And I said to her, there's an orb at your elbow. And she did, just like I did. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. But the second one was weird. At another meditation group that we had over there, we came out of the forest because we were, Samantha Mowat and I were showing everybody where we had seen the aliens in the forest. We come out of the forest, and the guy who owned the property looks up in the sky, and just southeast of his property, there's this giant orb in the sky. It looks like a weather balloon. All right. So half an hour later, we're still watching this. I have to go because our son is an infant at this time, and it's feeding time. So we have to go home and drive home looking for this orb or whatever while I'm driving. Cannot find it. I live about 7 miles away, if that. And get home, pull into the garage. I go outside of my patio looking for this orb. I'm looking towards my friend's house, can't see it, nothing. Guess where it was, Tim? It was right over top of my house. Showed my kids, showed my mother-in-law, showed my partner, and it stayed there for 2.5 hours above my house before it slowly started moving north. And then about 2 hours later, it was actually gone. I don't know to this day if it was something spiritual, something ufological, or something plausible like a weather balloon. It was translucent. It was amazing. But the fact that it stayed over top of my house for 2.5 hours to this day is what still mesmerizes me over this.
Yeah.
Mesmerizes me.
And you had one inside your home.
At my friend's house.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I wish that you had thought to capture it on film at some point, especially that one over your house.
They had a rule. Okay. Actually, I did capture pictures on my iPhone 3, and I got the blue screen of death and everything erased on my phone a couple months later. But the other orb on that property, that's the same property I saw the Sasquatch, same property, the UFO landing, and the same property where Samantha Mowat and I walked into the forest to see the aliens. Okay, they had a rule there, which was no photography, no video cameras. They wanted the phenomena to know it was safe there and was not being taken advantage of. And I believe that's why the phenomena continued there and may still continue there today. I don't know.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of people that believe that the phenomenon is aware of being recorded. You know, makes absolute sense if it doesn't want to be. I have seen things get glitchy myself, so I don't doubt that you had things lifted off of your phone. I've seen that happen personally as well. So
Yeah,